Hey team, Wade Wyant here, and I want to bring you week 5 update from Red Wagon and some of our tips and tricks to grow your profit in 2024, the year of chaos. And it's been a wild year, especially here in the US. And I think it's going to continue to be. With that being said, our theme for this week is living your core values, and wrapping up January. I thought it was important to start the year with that. You cannot underestimate the importance of not just writing down your core values, but also living them. It starts first with you as a leader and the leadership team living them, and then finding a way to get your team to take them seriously and live them themselves. I've seen organizations do all kinds of unique things, like have incentives, having core value awards. There's a lot of ways that you can do it, but as the old saying goes, you get what you incent. So find a way to do that, and find a way to make sure your core values are living in your organization. It increases your culture. It also increases the buy-in, and it just makes you a more vibrant organization in living your core values. So don't just write them down. Don't just put them on the wall. Make sure they're being lived every day. It's hard to relate directly to profit, but I can tell you from firsthand experience, your profit will grow by making that happen. We highlighted a fun book in our email, Pappy Land. I read this book about 2 years ago on my way down to do a bourbon trail event. It's a great business book that talks about the business of Pappy, the Pappy bourbon, and how that family got started, and how it rose and fell and then raised again. And so anyways, great story. We recommend that, and it's good to have an offbeat business book. You're not always just reading facts and figures. Check that out. Our tips for this week, beyond just living your core values, are actual tips to drive profitability in your business, because remember, it's grow, profit, or die. The first one is accountability in the income statement. I got this from Vern Harnish quite a few years ago when I first heard him speak. I think it was 2004, so we're going 20 years ago. He came to Grand Rapids, spoke at Meyer Garden, and I remember in the moment thinking, wow, he understands how to scale a business. I understand how to do my technology. I'm going to combine those two things together and build a business, which is what myself and several friends did. And at the time, one of the things he was promoting and still does is this idea that in your income statement, it's typically in a spreadsheet. One of the things you should do is add an additional column up and down, so that you can, on each row where you've outlined the different components of your income statement, you can add in a name to hold people accountable to each thing. So someone for revenue, someone for COGS, someone for gross profit, someone for SG&A, someone for travel, and on and on and on and on. And when you hold people accountable, the numbers will become better, and in turn, you'll have better profitability. Now, one of the things that I found is we do this in some cases, like for revenue or whatever, but in many cases, we don't put people's names next to those numbers, and we just make the CFO or financial person in charge of making sure that these numbers come out the right way. And they've got a lot of work to do, but they don't necessarily control the numbers, and they're not accountable for the numbers. So get the person who's truly accountable for these different rows in place, and I can tell you from firsthand experience, you will see your gross profit, and then your, as some people say, net profit or net income rise. It happens every single time it's tried. Accountability on the income statement, row by row. The second tip is sales profit tip is use what we call a trial close. What's a trial close? This is when you're in the middle of the sales process. You actually ask them a question about closing the deal, something you're going to do in the future, while either demonstrating the product, or while talking through terms, or while getting logistics down, or maybe doing a proof of concept. You ask a closing question, in order to see how serious they are and find out if you have any real chance of closing them. And I've listed in the email some closing questions. One that I love doing is I find something that they want from my product or solution and say, hey, if I can do that, or maybe a price that they want, if I can meet your price, would you be able to close this deal in December or whatever date I need? And would the person who signs off on the deal be willing to sign off on it? At that moment, the answer they give you, unless they're just a real shyster or a bad person, they're going to be quite candid with you about, well, you guys aren't really our top choice, or, well, we're just shopping around. We're probably not going to buy until next year. Either way, that trial close question gets you a lot closer to, when will you close this deal, and is this client even real? Are they gonna buy from us as prospect? And so I cannot tell you how much I believe in closing trial closing questions or trial close questions. You got to do them. You got to use them. Next week, we're going to talk about some of Stephen Covey's core principles from the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. The first one, which is one I live, one of my core values, which is win-win. Always go for win-win. And the second one, sharpening your saw. We're going to relate that to AI in next week's video, so please tune in for that. And final thoughts to all my friends from Michigan. I know I'm shooting this video on Monday, January 29th. You'll probably watch it on January 31st or maybe even February 1st. But at this point, I'm less than 24 hours from that upset heartbreak of a football game with the Lions. I know many of us have been waiting years and years to see them go back to NFC Championship. It killed me to see them lose. But I got to tell you, I'm filled with joy seeing them get that far. And I know a lot of people think they choked and they're trying to hold them accountable. But I got to tell you what, when you perform at that level and you get that far after this many seasons, I'm just happy they got there. You know what? I'm okay with it. I hope you are too. Either way, go out and make your business better because you got a full year before you get to see it again. All right, have a great day, and I look forward to talking to you in person soon. Please make sure you mark the date, February 29th, for our book launch, Grow Profit or Die. Can't wait to give you a copy.